Now, the U.S., they took down some high-profile Chinese spy balloon this last month. I'm sure you saw that. Then reported on a series of unidentified objects, also shot down at high-profile events. But the Pentagon left a lot of room for speculation there, only providing vague information on those targets. And among the many of us who took notice was longtime famed Israeli mystifier Uri Geller, who wrote an op-ed this last week arguing that the U.S. was making a quote-unquote deadly mistake by shooting down suspected UFOs. And great pleasure to join Israeli mystifier Uri Geller, longtime known world figure, in the studio today with us here, joining us from not far away. So I appreciate you coming.
Yeah, my museum is 6 minutes walk from here. David, thanks for inviting me. Ariel, thank you.
Yes, our Ariel Levine-Waldman as well, a big our science and technology correspondent, also a big fan of yours. I would not miss
this discussion for anything.
Great topic to have him come in. So he's joining us as well. So yeah, I mean, describe what motivated you to write this latest piece, saying, hey, to the U.S., look out.
Okay, well, first of all, that's on my social media, but what you were talking about, it was from the Jerusalem Post.
Jerusalem Post.
Look, basically, let's put an order into this, UFOs and the balloons. First of all, it is my opinion that those Chinese spying balloons should have been shot down the second they entered American airspace, simply because they are so sophisticated with spy network. As they floated across the United States, it was delivering missile information, nuclear information. It was shoot it down immediately. Okay, now, but there are reports of UFOs that the Pentagon released not long ago, a few months ago, footage that was filmed from the cockpit of their fighter pilots. You can hear the pilots screaming, "Oh my gosh, what is this?"
That they have no answer for.
No answer. These UFOs are flying in such speeds that we have no such technology. And it's unknown. The Pentagon doesn't know what they are. And we, the people who do believe in extraterrestrial life, we do believe that UFOs are visiting our planet for a reason. There is a plan here. Now, let's go back thousands of years. This is an unusual interview because I'm going to show pictures. Okay. These are etchings that were found on the walls of caves thousands of years ago. They look like astronauts. The president of Mexico, López Portillo, took me to a Mexican pyramid. This is fascinating. This is etched on a piece of stone, and you can actually see an astronaut inside a capsule with all kinds of tools around him and navigational equipment. Now, why am I so sure that they're extraterrestrials? Okay. Look, Mossad did not understand how I did what I did. They contacted the CIA to test me. You won't believe who the CIA sends to convince me to leave Israel. This man, Captain Edgar Mitchell. Wow. I freak out when he sends me a photograph. It says, "Uri, we want to test you. Come over to America." I fly over to Palo Alto, Stanford Research Institute, today Stanford University. They test me, and I always show off with this. You read this out. The CIA's conclusion.
This is the actually very famous line, because you were investigated by the CIA, who says, "As a result of Geller's success in this experimental period, we consider that he has demonstrated his paranormal perceptual ability in a convincing and unambiguous manner."
Now, going back to the UFOs, one day Mitchell tells me...
Like a diploma, essentially.
The best resume statement I've ever seen.
Mitchell tells me one day, Edgar Mitchell, the sixth man, Apollo 14, who walked on the moon, "Uri, there's somebody very important in NASA, secret base, that wants to meet you." I say, "Fine, who is he?" And he says to me, "It's Dr. Werner von Braun." Wow. I say, "What? Dr. Werner von Braun wants to meet me?"
Grandfather of the space program in the U.S.
He was a Nazi.
Well, yeah.
I mean, but he was a rocket genius. He built the V2, flew from Germany, fell in London, killing thousands of people, but the Kennedy clan said, no, we won't take him to court. We will bring him to America. By the way, most people don't know this. The Americans brought lots of Nazi...
Operation Paperclip.
Exactly. Anyhow.
What did von Braun tell you?
I said, I'm Israeli. Half of my family were murdered by Nazis, but my curiosity killed me. I said, let's go. I had a CIA camera, a Minox camera, that I gave to my brother-in-law, and I said to him, "Shippy, the minute we enter Werner von Braun's office, you take a picture." Shippy captured this photograph. This is Mitchell, Werner von Braun, a CIA man, and me. So Werner pulls out a piece of metal, and he says to me, "Uri, touch this. Tell me what you feel." I put my fingers on it and I say, "Wow, it doesn't feel like it's from here." Then he says, "Come with me. Do you see this door behind him? Werner von Braun takes me into his personal office. There is a safe in the office. He opens the safe. I see a piece of metal. I've never seen such a color. Pulls it out. It's not heavy. Says, Uri, touch this. Tell me what you feel now. I put my hand on it and I say, Werner, this is not from here. He says, you're right. This is a piece of a UFO that crashed on our planet. You know, wow. I'm mind blown because as a child, I used to sneak into movie theaters in Tel Aviv to see films on extraterrestrial life. And this is coming from the mouth of Werner von Braun. But this is not the end of the story. Let me finish.
Speechless, yeah.
He takes me to the parking lot. Shippy takes this photograph. He puts me in his limousine. He says to me, Werner says to me, sit next to me. Now, there are red lines here that I can't talk, but we drive to a huge concrete building. Nothing was written on the building. It was either a Marine or a soldier lets us down. We go 3 floors, descend into the belly of the building. In the corridor, there are hooks with Antarctica coats on. He puts one on. He lets me put one on. And David, he leads me into a refrigerator room. Huge! Now, what I see in that room, I faint. Let me tell you this. Bibi knows about this. Okay. Obama knows about this. Donald Trump knows about it. In the grand scale of things, the American government are still not telling the truth. They're releasing bits of information here and there. So that's a story.
You're saying this is that there's a group in the U.S. that includes some elected officials, but not all, that firmly knows about the visitation or maybe even working with extraterrestrials on this planet, and it goes as far as the Israeli government as well.
Well, you know that there is an Israeli author who was the head of the space.
Chaim Eshed.
Exactly. And tell us, what was he?
So Chaim Eshed was the head of Israel's space program in the 80s. He headlined making Israel a satellite power, but a couple years ago, he made headlines worldwide when he appeared in the Yediot Achronot paper saying that Earth had been visited by extraterrestrial forces and that they had worked alongside several high-profile governments on Earth. Yeah. These were claims that were almost word for word the same as those made by former Canadian Defense Minister Paul Hellyer, who said the exact same line some number of decades back.
I mean, coming from this man who was the head of the space security, and he said that the Americans are negotiating with aliens.
That's jaw-dropping.
Unbelievable. Anyhow, you remember that quote? Yeah. The CIA. Now, you prepared a secret drawing, correct? Yeah. And this is not a trick.
Now, before you...
I have not seen what you drew.
It's in my co-pop.
Did you show it to anyone? No?
No.
Now, beam it into my mind. This is exactly what I did for the CIA, but not one drawing, hundreds in shielded rooms. Drawings were done in Langley, Virginia, and I was in California, in Palo Alto, and I duplicated the drawing. If you really believe that I can get it, I will get it. Look into my face, visualize your drawing. Give me a moment. Yes, just visualize a drawing, because sometimes my hand gets it exactly the same size. Don't look at what I'm drawing. Just give me, it'll be 40, 50 seconds. Yeah, continue and just stare at me. Stare at me. And think. Okay, I'm getting something. You know what? It's unusual. Usually people draw a house or a tree or a flower. This is what I got. Pull out your drawing. Don't look. Let me show you to the camera. That's what I got. Show us now what you drew. I'm always nervous. Exactly. There. Wait, that's not the end. Now let me show you the size is precise. Look, if you measure your sun from here to here, you measure my sun from here to here. Watch this.
I'll tell you, it looks the same.
Wait, watch this. Millimetric. Let me just show it to the camera. Because you cannot be more precise.
I felt bad. I drew such a crude.
Yeah, it is a bad drawing. Now, let me tell you that the CIA, it blew their minds because this is really remote viewing. They are using, for espionage purposes, people who are intuitive. It's a cheap way of spying. They sit in a room with computers, and they send their mind through space and time.
Are they still calling you? Are you still working with government officials?
No comment.
Okay.
But it was great being with you guys.
Yes.
You know?
It was interesting. That's for
certainly
sure.
leaves us, it certainly leaves us, I think, baffled and speechless in a lot of ways. How have your, abilities evolved over your lifetime? Or in short, how can you describe how this process, from this point to today, how have you grown it?
I'm hugely controversial. There are those who don't believe it. They think it's a trick and all that.
James Randi, for example.
Exactly.
Went after you hard.
And Johnny Carson.
Yeah.
I sat on Johnny Carson for 22 minutes, humiliated. Although I bent a spoon, but it wasn't enough for Johnny Carson. Was smoking under the table and all that. And I thought my career...
1973.
Yeah, 73. And they still talk about it. So I thought my career is destroyed. And I went back to my hotel, ready to pack up to come back to Israel. And the next morning, the operator wakes me up and she says, Mr. Geller, I have a Merv Griffin on the line for you. Now, Merv Griffin was as big as Johnny Carson. And I get on the line and...
The man was skyrocketing.
And Merv says, oh, Uri, I saw you last night on Johnny Carson. I want you on my show this week. That's when it dawned on me that all publicity is good publicity.
Uri Geller. I have no words to describe it. Thank you for being with us.
Come to my museum.
We are.
My Instagram is the Uri Geller, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and you'll enjoy it.
Here you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining.